Force Radio presents.
Last night, a Jedi was murdered.
She's killing Jedi.
I didn't do it! Believe me!
She was my student. I trained her. Now she is a student of the dark side.
This is a fight that you will not win.
The Jedi live in a dream, but an acolyte kills the dream.
This is Rebel Force Radio's The Acolyte After Show.
All right, welcome back, Rebel Force Radio and The Acolyte After Show. Got a fresh new episode to dissect, analyze, speculate, pick apart. Fairly, I would say. Fairly. That's one thing I think you can say about Rebel Force Radio and these after shows. I think we are fair. We don't mince our words, certainly, but at the same time, we look at these things as they're being presented to us, as to the extent that that is possible. Now, that doesn't stop us from speculating and theorizing. That's part of the fun. And we have lots of fun on the after show. So glad for you. Glad that you're here with us. Thanks for hanging out. We've got lots to talk about. This episode, very interesting because it, on the one hand, you feel that it is trying to answer some questions, and some answers do get some questions do get answered. But at the same time, I feel like that it raises and asks more questions. So I guess that's the nature of especially these streaming series. You know, Star Wars is certainly not immune anymore to trends and fads. And something I've noticed with the way these streaming series are being told is, you know, they utilize things like cliffhangers oftentimes, continuing to throw more mystery at you to keep you coming back. And that's always been a part, I think, of good storytelling. But with the streaming and the competition that's out there, I just feel that there is just, you feel, I think, from the creatives and the writers, you feel their desire to want to always bring you back for more, bring you back, lure you back in some cases. So that is definitely what's happening here with The Acolyte. As I say, great to be with you. If you are new to the program and introductions are in order, my name is Jason, and with me, as always, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. Back again for another round with The Acolyte. And back to the story that's being told in the present tense, I guess. No flashbacks this week. No crappy kid actors. It was all just pushing the story forward, and I'm happy about that because I felt like these were some characters that we were just getting to know before we went on a detour last week. So I'm glad we're able to spend more time with these characters, and I feel like this episode's dropping at a good time as most of fandom is on a serious sugar buzz from Star Wars Oreo cookies, and
I got the cookies. I finally got the cookies, and I got the blue milk. And my son and I, had a nice little, because we go golfing every Friday, and we hit the grocery store on the way home. We picked up the Oreo cookies and the blue milk, and we did the 19th hole at home with that. And I got to say, I really thought the blue milk was pretty good. I was preparing myself for something really sickening sweet, you know, like strawberry milk or something. But I thought it was pretty mild, and went well with the cookies.
It's like a vanilla type flavor, but not overpowering. You're absolutely right. Now, I haven't dunked the Star Wars Oreos into the blue milk, but I did eat a whole pack of them. Dylan gave them to me for Father's Day, and I almost lost my you-know-what. Did you get dark side or light side?
I ended up with light side.
Yeah, me too. So now I'm dying to get my hands on some of those red ones.
Well, Jim, everyone knows the dark side has been extinct for a millennium, so you're not likely to find dark side Oreo cookies.
the Sith have been extinct for over a millennium.
I had to
The
change
dark
it,
side
though, to make it work for the
exists in all
cookies.
of us. The dark side exists in all of us all the time.
Yes.
And we as proper Jedi must do everything we can to suppress the fear, anger, and ambition that makes that dark side rise up to the surface. So while you guys are doing that, I'm just going to eat the Oreos, okay? So
I heard a rumor that if you eat Oreos, if you eat the Star Wars Oreos while you're watching The Acolyte, you enjoy yourself a heck of a lot more. You really like the story more. You like the...
is that true?
I think so.
They've worked out that technology where they can make you eat food that will force you to appreciate the content more. I mean, this is what Kathy Kennedy's been working on behind the scenes. This is what the $180 million budget for The Acolyte went towards, creating a food that will somehow magically shift your personal opinion towards a favorable one, but only when it comes to Star Wars content, right? I mean, like, this wouldn't work on like Aquaman 2 or anything like that.
No. This is strictly strictly Star Wars and highly controversial, somewhat objectable Star Wars. That's what it works on. I mean, is it a coincidence that the cookies came out right when The Acolyte premiered? I think not.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's a conspiracy. The fix is in. It's rigged. It's a rigged system.
It's just like those Rotten Tomatoes. It's all rigged. When it agrees when it doesn't agree with me, it's rigged.
Yeah, we're being cookie bombed right now, and just like they get review bombed, we're getting cookie bombed by Oreos, and I welcome that. So good. I'm glad you're on the same sugar high I'm on.
Definitely. And we are certainly on a Star Wars high, so make sure to give us a call, participate in the chat. If you haven't listened to one of these live and participated with the just incredible group of folks that are here about each and every week, you're really missing out because, there's this show that you're listening to right now, but what you don't know is underneath it, down here, there's a whole other show going on. Sometimes the two might even overlap, where you get a what? Are you looking? You're looking for the other show?
The show underneath. Yeah, I was looking at the other show underneath us.
You may not see it, but sometimes the two shows even intersect and are actually talking about.
You don't want to know what I was
at the same
looking
time.
at. You don't want to know. What
I was worried that you either dropped something or spilled something. I thought, oh God, oh no, oh no.
Yeah, we've been through that before, so I understand you being a little skittish. But no, I'm ready to plow forward.
All right, let's plow forward. Let's start talking about it. We are talking about episode 4, season 1, obviously. Day is the name of this episode. Day. Directed by Alex Garcia Lopez and co-written by Claire Keichel or Keichel. Just going to go with Keichel there.
Yeah.
Keichel,
I think
whatever.
Keichel.
Cor Adana, the co-writer there. And original air date, of course, June 18th, 2024. Clocks in at about 28 minutes, minus the post-credits. So there you got it. You got the tail of the tape for this particular episode. So something that, I am glad that these shows do the, last week on The Acolyte. I do appreciate that, and I always watch it because something went past me that I didn't realize, and it may or may not be a big deal, but I didn't realize at the time that Vernestra, who seems to be the highest ranking member of this particular council, by the way, this is not the High Council. we learned this week. I assumed that it was Jedi Council was the council, but apparently there's a High Council and then there's this council. But Jim, I didn't catch that Vernestra didn't know anything about Osha having a twin sister. So that right there tells you that Saul has been less than forthcoming and less than honest even with Vernestra Rowe. And then there's more that he reveals to her, which is the fact that maybe she survived. Not only did I not tell you that she had a twin, but maybe she survived. So now I'm getting, I love Saul. and he's my favorite character in the show. I think the actor is, so impressive to find out, that he has been able to do this, Lee Jung-jae, with such limited capabilities with the English language. I think the performance is very believable and real. So, hats off to him. But now I'm starting to think, what else is Saul hiding? What else is this guy hiding?
Yeah,
So
well,
I don't trust him as much as I used to.
I think there were a couple of hints or foreshadowing being dropped in with the way the camera was moving around the room when Vernestra was talking to that council about this emergence of May, and it almost seems like she was passively aggressively pointing some blame or accusing Saul of being the one who actually trained May, not Ahsoka, May. Because I'll tell you why. When she is talking about May's reappearance and the fact that she killed another Jedi, she looks directly at Saul when she says she suddenly appeared after all these years. How odd. And then she looks at Saul immediately. Then she turns up all these years later, trained by one of our own. The camera again lingers on Saul.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the Jedi says, well, you think a Jedi taught her? And Vernestra says, oh, even a hologram can tell me that.
Yeah.
And then she goes, we must find out who trained her. Camera immediately jumps back to Saul, who, according to the descriptive audio track, swallows and nods like a, oop, they're on to me.
Gulp.
And kind of nods like, yeah, I get it. Trying not to look too guilty, I think, is the direction going on here with Saul. So I think Saul, there's something going on with Saul that doesn't add up.
But then, then you see Saul going to great lengths, including using Osha as bait to draw out this master. Like Saul's obsessed with, he's not obsessed with bringing May in. He's obsessed with May leading him to the master. That is Saul's, I believe, ultimate goal here. And I don't know if that's because he feels that he's being looked upon as, someone who could be culpable in some of this. Not that they're thinking he's a traitor, but, what else has he not told us about this? Right. So I think I just think it's less about bringing in May and more about using May. He's using Osha to get to May to get to the master.
Right. Toward the end of the show, he reveals to Osha that he has information that he's going to lay on her when he says they both have to face their past. And he will explain more when they get back to the ship. It's like
He'll
right
explain
away.
Everything. Yeah.
So that sounds like something you do around episode 5 or 6, maybe.
Yeah.
I will tell you everything during episode 6.
Yeah, well, I was thinking is that going to then be Saul's flashback? Because everybody was very quick to tell me that what we saw in the flashback last week was Osha's flashback.
Yeah, I believe that.
So perhaps we'll actually see Saul's flashback. But we jumped ahead because there's something I want to talk about. Yeah. At the very top of the episode, and that is when we get to see Kelnacca, who, by the way, really does prove my point that Wookiees make terrible Jedi, because the guy was wiped out. I mean, it was such a blowout that they didn't even feel the need to show it. They didn't even need to show it.
Does anybody smell burnt Wookiee hair? Does anybody smell that right now? I just thought of you. Just with a big you-know-what eating grin on your face. When the camera pulled around and showed that dead Wookiee sitting there in the chair with the wound still smoldering and smoke coming out of him. I mean, it just happened. Whoever killed Kelnacca, it just happened. And that's why the reason they didn't show his death is because I think the story will lean on that a little bit by creating a mystery as to, well, who actually killed Kelnacca? Was it legitimately the Sith Lord? But who is the Sith Lord? A lot of people say, well, he's Qimir. Qimir is the Sith Lord, but Qimir was strung up in a tree. So how could he have gotten away? And that little
too easy for a Sith.
That little otter beaver was there too.
Yeah, Basil.
I mean, he was there. And so I think there's, suspicion should be pointed toward the little otter beaver too, because he was there. And
wait a minute. Wait. Are you trying to say that you believe that Basil might have killed Kelnacca?
Yes, I am saying that, because he suddenly disappeared from the group.
He sure did.
And the next time you see him, he is looking at May, who had got tripped up approaching Kelnacca's lair. So he was already there.
The otter beaver.
Yeah. Whose name is Basil. So
yeah,
Basil.
like the comedian.
Or like the thing I got up in my cabinet there with all the other,
right. The herb.
Yeah,
the herb.
Next to the dill and the basil.
Okay, but wait a minute. Before we get too into this, here's what I wanted to talk about with Kelnacca, other than him being a crappy Jedi. Is this in Kelnacca's ship/home? He has sketches or drawings or something of the Sith witches. The Sith witches. So these are the markings that you see. Like one of them is on May's forehead. The mother Anastasia had one of those on her head. So what do you make of this? And
what
was in that pot that he was he doing? Is that his cauldron? Is he a double agent? Is he a Wookiee and a witch?
You're throwing a lot of stuff out there right now. Okay, I think he was just making his dinner. I really think, I didn't look at it beyond that. I think it was his dinner. Okay. And the carvings that were decorating the walls of his lair, they all depicted variations of the spiral symbols that it was the witch's tattoo, the ascension tattoo.
Right.
And we know they received that during the ascension because Mother Anastasia pulled down the blue light and put it on May's forehead, in which he removed it. That tattoo or brand was in there. So let's just call it a tattoo.
Let's take it.
Yeah. So she has. So what was he researching? He must have been researching that. He's like the guy who's got the conspiracy theories. He's got the pictures and the magazine articles up on the wall, and then there's like string attaching them by thumbtacks and stuff.
So all right. So what do we know about Kelnacca? I wrote it all down here. We know that he was stationed to Kofar by the Jedi.
Yes.
And that he has been there for a year, or he's been out of communication for a year. He's been out of contact for a year. So, is he? Well, we know that he's not meditating like the other guy, like Torben.
Yes, he did not take the bearish vow of silence.
But we could assume that he's working out the trauma of what occurred on what was it? Brendok. So you're saying this is him sort of maybe investigating him. He's working something out here. This isn't evidence that he's converted to the witchy religion or anything like that.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think if anything, he might be trying to figure out how exactly a coven of female witches were able to give birth to a pair of Force-sensitive twins. I think that's a code he's trying to crack. And it's unnatural for them, those Sith witches. It's unnatural for them to be tapping into the dark side. It's unnatural for them to give birth to twins without a father. I mean, the whole thing is just off the established path. And so So they're obviously up to some dark side witchiness.
Mhm.
And that's fine. If they want kids, that's fine. But you know what they're doing is they're tipping the force out of balance for the Jedi. And so it's not all about them. they're seriously, their actions are having a profound effect on others throughout the galaxy.
Yeah.
So that's where I think their biggest violation of Jedi law is occurring, is the fact that because of however they're manipulating the force and the midi-chlorians or the thread or whatever, no matter how hard they're pulling on the thread, it's tipping the force out of balance. And that's bad for the galaxy at large.
Okay. All right. Kelnacca investigating.
That's what I think.
The
That's just my.
I like that. I think it's better than I thought. Oh my God, that SOB! Look at him. He's worshiping. He's standing over his cauldron, and there's witch symbols in his house. I thought, well,
you might be right. You might be right. Maybe he was an agent for the witches.
Yeah, maybe. When we see Osha along with Jecki, I always want to forget her name, Jecki. We see Osha and Jecki talking here at the top of the episode. What's interesting to me was that Osha's tapping out at this point. She's like, my adventure's over. My story's over. I'm saying goodbye and all of this. And I thought it was really odd because she finds out her sister's alive.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, May's the Jedi's problem now, and I'm not a Jedi. And as she was saying this, I thought, oh, okay, maybe we'll find out that she wants to find May on her own. She doesn't want to do it with the Jedi and Saul. She wants to do it on her own. But there really, again, that just kind of happened in my head. There really wasn't any evidence in the story or in the dialogue to mean that. But she tells Jecki, she says, or I'm sorry, Saul. This is jumping over here to Saul.
Okay, all right.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I lied. I'm sorry. This is still the Jecki conversation. These transcripts don't have names attached to all the lines, so sometimes it's a little tricky to navigate. But she says, someone must find May before she does any more harm. She's still talking to Jecki here. She goes, but it's not me. I can't. And I'm thinking to myself, why can't you? So I'm asking the question, why can't Osha bring in May?
I think she's disconnected from the Force. I think there was a time in the past when Osha was connected to the Force and she was being trained as a Jedi. But she has become disconnected somehow. And she wants to be connected to the Force. This might have something to do with her leaving the Order or being expelled from the Order. Is her ability to tap into the Force diminished and then went away. Or she unplugged from the Force. Something happened.
Mm-hmm.
Later in the episode, she recovers a bit of her Force sense.
Yes.
And believes. She says, I will go get May. And
she only
Master
does that
Saul,
after May turns. After May makes the decision that she's not going to do that. So then May is projecting perhaps some light side, which then somehow is a trigger for Osha to now all of a sudden feel the confidence and the connection that she can go do this. Yeah, I thought that was very, very interesting. So it sort of comes full circle. So we're planting the seed at the beginning that she doesn't have the confidence. She knows that she can't do it for some reason. I like your idea that this is about her being able to tap into the Force.
Yes,
and then by the end of the episode,
the power of two. The dark side clouds everything. So when her twin, who she's attached to the hip with throughout their youth on Brendok, when her sister eventually turns to the dark side, we don't know how rapidly the sister turned to the dark side fully, like embraced it and had a Sith master and all of that. We don't know. That could have happened maybe just a few years prior to the events happening in the Acolyte. Or what did they say? Osha left the order 8 years prior.
6 years.
So, was it 6 years?
Yeah.
Yes. And the events on Brendok happened 16 years prior. So maybe Osha was really connected to the dark side. And then when May, somewhere else in the galaxy, comes under the influence of the dark side of the Force and fully embraces it, that then puts like a wet blanket over Osha and her connection to the light side of the Force. So she leaves the order or is expelled from the order. The reason I say expelled is because in a prior episode, it's revealed that Carrie-Anne Moss's character Indara, she was the one advocating for Osha to leave the order. Like she was the one lobbying for Osha to
Wait a minute, say that
away.
again?
Yeah. You didn't pick up on that?
No.
In a previous episode, it's revealed that Carrie-Anne Moss's character, Indara, was vocal about having Osha leave the Jedi Order 6 years previous.
Oh,
They mentioned that.
Okay, all right.
That
She was the one. She was partially responsible. She was okay.
Well,
She was pushing her out.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that's because maybe Indara saw the dark side in Osha. I mean, if her sister can be pulled toward that side, then maybe it's easy to pull Osha that way, because those witches were basically practicing dark side arts, disconnected from the Sith, obviously, but they were tapping into the dark side. I don't think there's any question about that.
No, I don't think there's any question about that either. And I have a theory that I'll reveal during this after show. I'm not ready to say it yet, but it ties into what you're talking about with what the witches were actually doing. Certainly, what Mother Anastasia was actually doing. So, and I do want to talk about May's turn, but just getting back to this whole I can't do this. I think I know what they're going for. They're going for sort of the Luke Skywalker, but I can't do it. I can't kill my own father.
Maybe.
I think that's what they're going for, but that's a much larger task, because something that's true, I think, about the Jedi here, and there's several examples of it, is that they're essentially policemen. They're talking about bringing people in. They're essentially like telling people to come out with their hands up, at the end of the episode.
Yeah. And even when Jackie flew that starship over May and Sol when they were battling.
Yeah, right.
She said, "You're under arrest in the name of the Republic of the," they're very much being presented as the policemen of the universe right now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's probably what it boiled down to after a while. And some Jedi they figured that out, and they went off on their own, and they distanced themselves from the order. But most of them, especially the younger ones, were pretty gung-ho about doing all that kind of thing. So,
yeah. And I definitely want to get to May's turn, but I want to break down this scene here between May and Qimir. And Jim, the whole time, I don't know if Qimir, he made zero impression on me up to this episode. And I know his screen time was limited, but there was all this speculation coming out of that second episode, I believe, of Qimir, he's definitely I think he's the Sith. I think he's the Sith. And but I just was like, there's nothing there. It's a very, I thought at the time, kind of weak performance, not really well written character. But in this episode, he is the devil on the shoulder. He is like how in Lord of the Rings, when you see Gollum talking to Smeagol, like he is just constantly taunting, teasing, picking, and things like when he says, at one point he talks about how he oh shoot, I lost it here, but he was talking about how May's always failed. He's calling her a failure. And why would you think you can do this now? You failed every time, killing a Jedi without a weapon. And in this particular scene, he gives up the fact that he's the one that located Kelnacca.
Yes. Yes.
This Jedi that's very reclusive, doesn't want to find. So he's teeing all of this up for her. He's knocking it up so that she can, setting it up so that she can knock it down. So now I'm starting to come around to this idea that this guy very well could be, when I say the master, this thing that shows up at the end and what we've seen in the black with the zipper smile, zipper face. And I use that term loosely because I don't consider what we're seeing so far the master. I think there is a real master out there, and I think that what we're dealing with is still an apprentice, but everyone's calling it a master. But
or the master is Zipper Face or Darth Teeth or Kylo Grin, whatever you want to call him. That could be the master or the apprentice, or maybe that is the master and Qimir is the apprentice. I like the idea of him being the master, though. I like the idea of Qimir playing a double role, but it's almost
when you
impossible.
say master, you're talking about the thing we see in the black.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's almost impossible because he was strung up in that tree. And the Sith Lord was able then to go past May, go past the Jedi, and reach Kelnacca and kill him just moments before everyone else arrived.
We saw him fly. He can do all kinds of stuff.
Well, I guess if he can fly, then he can levitate himself upright and untie the knot.
Absolutely. To me, being hung upside down is inconsequential to the theory that this guy could be, not maybe the big bad, but the big bad that we've actually seen.
Okay, yeah, I guess
the
he
line
does
I was
fly.
trying to get to is when May's talking to him about finding Kelnacca. You went in there and risked your life for my master, and he goes, "No, I risked my life to help you." So it's almost like he drops the pretense that there's this third party in there. He's like, no, it's not about the master. It's about you and me. So either the guy is, there's other moments where he kind of slips up. He refers to himself as I when talking about the master at one other point. So he's definitely the devil, I think, on May's shoulder.
Well, they revealed a few things about the master. Qimir his story is he's in some sort of debt to the master. He goes, you know how he is. He collects people.
Yeah.
So this master probably has other stooges at his disposal as well, not just Qimir and May. He says he collects people.
Yes.
So there might be a whole bunch of Darksiders, who knows? And neither of them have seen his face. But still, Qimir is a little sketchy. When she says, I've never seen his face. Have you? And he goes, I haven't. So, it's like he has to repeat things to May. If he said that to May once, I've never seen his face. Wouldn't May put that in the mental hold and not forget that they had that interaction? No, she wouldn't. And also Qimir oddly seemed to show a particular interest in Soul when he was recounting his meeting with Osha. Says she was in over her head, but seemed to have fondness for Soul. And just the way when he brought up the name, I felt like he was looking sort of into May's soul almost, no pun intended, but almost like, reading her.
I think it was like making her jealous. I think Soul is a figure of jealousy for her, that whether it be that she's jealous of Soul because he got to spend all that time that she lost with her sister, or she's jealous of her sister because she had this mentor and this master, and she's running around with this creep in the woods and zipper face. That was the line, though, Jim, the one you brought up when she talks about the deal that Qimir made. She goes, "What kind of a deal did you make with him?" He goes, "I didn't. We didn't exactly. I just owed him." That's how he says it. What kind of a deal did you make with him? I didn't. We didn't exactly. I just owe him.
This guy's the quirkiest darksider of all time.
Now, Paul Kurt's in the chat. I thought he had a good observation here, if I can find it. Paul, not that one. Where'd you go, Paul? He said that it reminded him of Yoda. Like, here it is. He's acting like Yoda in Empire Strikes Back when he first meets Luke. Could this be a Darksider sort of doing that same kind of bit, like playing the fool, playing the goober? And but the reality is that, like with Yoda, there is more than meets the eye.
Yeah, now that's a great parallel if it does exist in this story. And, we're only at the halfway mark. So I don't want to jump into any conclusions. I love the speculation, but I don't want to jump to any conclusions quite yet about what's being presented to us. When I do start jumping to conclusions at the end of the series, look out, internet. But but yeah, I'm just trying to stay very much in the moment with the way this story is rolling out. And that goes with character reveal like Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Ki is back. And, so this is the first time I really He's
back, bitches. Here he is.
This is the first.
He's got the dark and lovely beard like Luke Skywalker did in Last Jedi.
This is the first time I really paid close attention to the closing credits, just because I wanted to see if this particular actor was going to be identified as the Ki. And he is. He is the Ki.
He is.
The Ki-Adi-Mundi. I have his action figure right here.
Beautiful.
They marketed him with a purple saber, oddly, for some reason at first. I don't know why. I think it wasn't really known what sort of saber he would eventually use, but this is the original Ki-Adi-Mundi figure. I have a few more. I have concept art Ki-Adi-Mundi with an eye patch.
Oh, look at the eye patch. I love that.
I love the eye patch.
I don't even remember that figure coming out. Wow, that's a cool one.
This is the look. This is the look they should have given him.
They should have.
ACOLYTE. And then I have this other one, and maybe they should have gone with this look. Ki-Adi-Mundi with a little hat. He's got a little hat on and a breath mask. You can pull his hat off to reveal.
When the hell did he have a hat on? What is this from?
This is one from one of the comic packs.
When Phantom
Menace was released in 1999, Dark Horse focused on Ki-Adi-Mundi of all characters in some of their initial expanded universe stories. As a matter of fact, the very first arc of any prequel era comic book featured a story about Ki-Adi-Mundi and his many wives prior to the events of the Phantom Menace. And they clarify, Ki is allowed to have many wives because that's an important part of the culture from which he comes from.
You know what? Like, that's like the person at work that gets all of the holidays because, I'm Jewish and my wife's Christian. And, so Ki-Adi-Mundi comes into the Jedi and he's like, I still got to have, Key's still got to get his action, okay? So I know you all do the celibacy thing and there are no attachments, but that doesn't fly for old Key, okay? So if we're gonna do this,
he got grandfathered in through some old conehead ritual that, So Key's been around, and so I was so excited that was Ki. And also I was happy that I stuck through the end credits because the music from the soundtrack was just great over the credits. It was just real ominous and like from a horror movie. And it was
I love the
perfect
music in this show. I really do.
Yeah, it's great.
I have to sometimes like remind myself to listen to it as I'm watching an episode. Like, hey, just listen to some music for a bit because it does its job. It blends in. It becomes a seamless part of the story. But when you do listen to it in isolation, it's very satisfying. I like it. Doesn't upstage anything. There's no big fanfares or marches or anything, John Williams style, but it certainly provides a great backdrop for the show. So Ki-Adi-Mundi
the music they were playing. Hold on, I'm not done.
Oh, all right.
The music.
We got more toys.
I mentioned the music, and then all of a sudden it becomes a Jason rap. No, I was still talking about Ki. Here, I'll show you the concept art again. Though, I mean, that's kind of cool. He's got an eye patch. But what I was saying about Ki is that I notice a lot of people losing their crap online about Ki-Adi-Mundi because in Expanded Universe, they gave him a birthday or something. Like he actually had a birth date that somehow every single fan on the internet knew. I never knew this. I consider myself pretty much a hardcore Star Wars fan. And the age of Ki-Adi-Mundi never was a priority for me. But to a lot of people, I guess it is. And with his appearance in this episode, it breaks that lore of his actual birth date. And so people are losing their minds over that. And that really surprised me because I think if you treat Expanded Universe statistics or biographies or whatever, that's going to really box in the whole story. And we've known Star Wars to violate Expanded Universe facts over the years. I mean, Chewbacca should have been killed off by the time of The Force Awakens because he died during the events of the new Jedi Order story. But they just, they said, no, it's all legends now. So none of that stuff is really canon anymore. Some things do become canonized and other things don't to fit the story. And Ki-Adi-Mundi, being older than we had thought he was, is one of those things. And so I don't think it's a big deal. I really don't, because I don't want these guys to be boxed in as far as
why does it have to be Ki-Adi-Mundi though?
Well, okay. According to FJ, whose first message to all of fandom is, if you're losing your mind over the age of Ki-Adi-Mundi, buddy, you may be beyond help. All right. That's a message from FJ. All right. I'm just passing.
All right.
You may be beyond
Ki-Adi-Mundi?
But also, we had heard, this is from somebody else, that it's not a lore-breaking mistake and it's not a coincidence. His appearance will result in having a purpose. And I mean, the positive is it connects the show to the prequels. And if Ki can appear, a future appearance from Yoda seems like a no-brainer. But that's just the thing, is he's being placed in there for a specific reason. And I think that reason is...
I want to believe that. I really do.
Yeah.
I hope that's true.
Well, that actually comes from somebody on the inside, too. So that's from a Lucasfilm insider.
Well, what we get in this episode is just Ki throwing shade on people's theories, just like he does in the Phantom. Oh, what? Well, the Sith have been extinct for a millennium. So here he's going, an apprentice who doesn't know their master? It's absurd. Yeah. It can't be real. That's Ki-Adi-Mundi's contribution.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad they shoot him in the end of episode 3.
He's known in the hallways of Coruscant as the cynical Jedi. So, he just rolls around and he drops truth bombs on people all the time. But the thing is, okay, Vernestra Rowe, all right? She's super intense. She's kind of unlikable. And she seems like she can evolve into a villain, It's like she has that potential. And the reason I say this is because she denies Ki-Adi-Mundi his immediate desire is to contact the High Council. And she shoots that down. She fears the High Council will report it to the Senate, and then it'll create a scandal which will go public and inspire fear and mistrust within the government, within the Jedi Order, within the public, the general public. So, I mean, that seems kind of
Yoda
sketchy.
does the same thing in the prequels. Yoda says that they can't let the Senate know about their diminished abilities.
Right.
So
Right.
Yoda
Well,
also
okay.
keeps these things. But here's my question. I didn't realize that we were dealing with the B team here. I thought we were dealing with the Jedi Council. This is the B team. These are the kids these are the people at the kids' table on Thanksgiving all of a sudden.
Well, it gets revealed to us, when they talk about the High Council. It's like, oh, well, these yahoos are not part of the High Council at all. Not Vernestra, not Sol, not Ki-Adi-Mundi, none of them. So that, I thought, like you, I thought Vernestra was some big shot on the council, but she really isn't. She's just like, she's like a middle management suck up, and and she's afraid of what her, and she's covering things up because she's afraid of how her superiors will react. And I also think she fears being accused of not doing her job right because a Jedi was assassinated. I think these guys are on some sort of security council. Now, I don't think that's
okay.
I don't know if that's anything that's been actually established.
I don't believe so.
That's what I'm feeling like. These guys are like, these guys are the real cops of the Jedi. They're the ones who are in charge of security. So, but they're not.
It would make sense. It would make sense when you think about the mission that Saul and Andara and Torben and Kelnacca were on. They were basically staking out Brendok for illicit or illegal use of the Force. So it would make sense that they have been and still are part of some sort of security council. I think that makes a lot of sense.
That's what I think. I know StarWars.com put out some information today. And also people were losing their mind about Ki-Adi-Mundi. And I'm like, hey, you guys are totally missing Plo Koon. He's right there. Whoa, flipping Koon. Why is anybody talking about Ki? It's Plo. And
it's
apparently
not Plo.
It's not Poe. It's no Koon.
Yeah, I call him Blow Who. That's who it is. There he is. Yeah,
but yeah,
blink
so
and you miss it.
Come on, that's Plo. It's wearing the same breath mask and everything. I mean, what are they doing?
He's so
here?
little, though. Well, I guess he'd be a lot younger.
I went through this whole thing, like convincing myself, oh, that's not Ki-Adi-Mundi. That's just another one of his species. And I'm like, well, wait, though. He's got Plo Koon with him. This is awesome. But it did turn out to be Ki-Adi-Mundi, but not Plo. No Plo, no Koon.
I thought for sure when I got up this morning that the news of the day was going to be that wasn't Ki-Adi-Mundi, but don't worry, folks, it really was Plo Koon. Now it's the absolute reverse of that. Good old Plo. Somewhere Filoni's fingerprints are just all over that, I'm sure.
Well, if they were, I think he would be Plo Koon. Unless, of course, Dave might have plans for Plo.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it wasn't Plo Koon.
Dave's taking ownership of that.
Wait, what do you mean? But he's my favorite character. What do you mean Leslie already used him? Oh, damn it.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. We got an image here of the Security Council, we'll call him, scene. And any other surprises here? It was cool. I thought that the set, no complaints about the set here. This was, some sort of like tactical, what do you want to call it? Tactical situation room or something along those lines. Room. Yeah, war room.
It reminded me of The Room, where Anakin met up with Obi-Wan Kenobi in Revenge of the Sith, when he's like, Master Voss has gone off to,
Boss Pity.
with the Gundarks and the Boss Pity and the Gundarks and whatever he's saying. That reminded me of very similar to this room, except in that instance, the windows were open and the lights were on. But you have that classic tactical computer console table there that, I mean, we've been seeing Star Wars characters
Well,
stare at.
they had to dim the lights, Jim, and shut the shades so you wouldn't be able to see the holograms here.
Right. Yeah, it was movie night in the war room. And so they closed the shades. It's the most bitchin' home theater on Coruscant.
I love how when they made Torben and Dara's holograms turn red when they were talking about, in case you forgot.
If I was doing it, I would have put up just like what they do on the Family Feud when somebody gets the answer wrong, and a big X in a box pops up and you hear a buzzer going bang.
Yeah. They have like nickels in their eyes. Oh
yeah, or birds flying around in a circle over their head.
In case you forgot, these guys are dead. Yeah, that could have really busted somebody up. They could have, I forgot.
I know. Yeah. Let's have fun with these.
Do you do that with your own like family photos? You cross them out after they're dead?
No, but I'm going to put that in my will that the surviving family members, when I go, they have to do that to all my pictures.
Highlight you in red.
Just give me X eyes. Yeah.
Getting back to well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do some super chats here because you guys have been awesome and very generous as always. We got JJ Skywalker says, "Yo, still kind of lukewarm on the show, but absolutely loving your guys' breakdown of the lore it presents." JJ, that's exactly what we're trying to do, man. We're just having fun with Star Wars, okay? We ain't shilling for no shekels here on Rebel Force Radio, as I saw a few people that are obviously new. And you know what? I got to say, we have a classy group of listeners here because I saw a guy come into the chat and he was like, "You guys are just shilling for Lucasfilm." and our stalwarts, our longtime were very nice and said, "Obviously, you're new here. Let's just tell you that Rebel Force Radio does not shill, absolutely does not shill for Disney or Lucasfilm." So anyway, I love when they police the community.
Oh, I know. That's cool. But listen to me, to anybody else who wants to pop off about us being shills, okay? You listen to me and you listen now. I got banned from Lucasfilm campuses while you were still sucking on your mommy's teat, okay? So don't call me a shill, okay? You know how many times we've been canceled? Don't even start. Don't even start. Canceled. You can't cancel us. So people have tried, and here we are, still with fair and impartial reviews of these shows.
That's right.
But listen, I don't think, I'm holding back until this whole entire story is presented to us so we can really judge it fairly. But I predict there will be a show some point in 2024 after the Acolyte is come and gone, where me and Swank have a complete meltdown over that ascension ceremony from episode 3. I mean, it's going to happen. Trust me on that. It's happened in my head already a couple of times. But I just don't want to jump to any kind of weird conclusions, because what if there is a payoff that makes all of that rigmarole seem to add up, you know? I mean,
nothing's going to make the attempt at a pop song add up. I'll tell you that. We won't be covering that, folks. Pretty much.
That choreography.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
The pop song. Have you seen that? There's a pop song about the Acolyte. I listened to it. It was absolutely dreadful. I couldn't believe it. When I hit play, I thought it was just going to be like some techno version of the witch's chant. The power of one, the power of two, that kind of thing.
Like a remix.
Yeah, like a remix. But instead we got this fully fleshed out piece of bubblegum pop garbage that I just makes me want to hurl.
Yeah.
Makes me want
Power of Two from Star Wars, The Acolyte, the single. Can you believe this?
Get that. You know, Star Wars only hit gold once, and that was in 1977 when the original film came out, and Miko did the main theme / cantina song. I think that's what he called her, cantina theme.
Yeah.
And it went to number 1 on the charts. It went to number freaking 1. I guarantee you that Acolyte pop song, that's not going to chart anywhere. That's not going to chart anywhere. It's not even going to, I'm done.
It was such a bizarre, what a bizarre decision. And it wasn't even, I don't even think the artist was, I can understand if that was like Amanda Stenberg, if that was like, because she's also a musician, very classically trained violinist. So if that was like, they released a single of her because they did a publicity thing where she played the Force theme, you know.
I saw that on Fallon.
Yeah, it was cool. That I would have understand that, but this is like random, you know, pop star doing random song tangentially related to this. Very strange.
It's like
very strange.
Lucasfilm, this is what you're applying your efforts and money towards is to produce that kind of talk about taking your eyes off the prize. Get your priorities straight. Okay.
How's that for shelling? All right, here's Silly Runner. He says, watching you guys is as good as any Star Wars show. No need to read, just I wanted to support. Well, we're going to read it, Silly Runner. Thank you very much. Very nice of you. Garage Gym Life. Jason, what's so suspicious? Jason, what's so suspicious about Kelnacca being naked in his spaceship house, stirring mysterious substances with witch carvings on the wall?
Yeah, really. You raise an eyebrow at that? What's the matter with you?
Right. Leafy green substances.
Your conspiracy theory somewhere else. Your Kelnacca.
Nothing to see here, people. Here's Jonathan Tilley. Jonathan says, when the end credit hit, I had a Serenity Now moment. Whoever this mysterious character is, they are powerful. Jedi could be off balanced due to the whole rot feeling of the arena that Saul said when they saw the bugs. Due to the whole rot feeling of the area that Saul said when they saw the bugs. I think there might be a typo there. Sorry, Jonathan. If you want to, you don't have to do a super chat. Just if you want to restate that, I'm not following, but I definitely appreciate the super chat and the time. We could talk about the bugs. You want to talk about the bugs?
Yeah, let's talk about the bugs because I got to be honest with you. You know, as they're trekking through this forest, you know, they're finally away from the Lord of the Rings type environment they were hiking through, and now they're deep in this forest. For starters, the forest instantly gave me Willow, the series vibes.
Really?
And I didn't like I did not like that feeling. However, they started walking, they get to these weird like growths on the tree, the lumps, these lumps in the middle of the tree trunks. And I'm like, okay, all right, good. Let's get weird. I'm waiting for the weird. Is anything weird going to happen in this environment? And Osha touches the tree lump and a bug crawls up the tree. It's some kind of giant bug. And so I'm like, ooh,
larva.
Wow. They've established those bugs are there. I'm waiting for it to become a legitimate threat now. And I'm waiting. And then all of a sudden, the weird moth-like creature suddenly flies in and is easily defeated. But what about those bugs? Are those bugs the moth while they're still like in larvae form? Or
Jimmy Mack, it is not just any moth. It's the Umbra moth. The Umbra moth.
Umbra moth.
Yeah.
Well, apparently it's attracted to the light of the sabers. And so do they have any relation to those weird tree lump bugs or what's going on here?
Here's what I thought. I thought that was the larva state of the moth, and this is like mama moth,
That's
essentially. I'll tell you what's
okay,
weird.
Yeah, right. She's watching her nest. That's the feeling I guess they were trying to go for. But I wanted more weirdness in that forest.
You want weirdness? Let me give you this. Maybe you didn't find this weird. I found this weird. Osha says, I was able to sense that creature, but I disturbed it, and now it's dead. And I think it's Jackie that says, it's always an honor to get to witness anything or anyone transform into the Force.
Yeah.
Is it really? Someone's murdered? It's an honor? That was a weird line.
Listen, it's a bug, okay? It's a bug.
She says anyone or anything.
No, I don't think she's talking about the death of the fly. I think she's talking about Osha's ability to connect with the Force. I thought that's what she was talking about.
No. I'm going to repeat it again. I was able to sense that creature, but I disturbed it, and now it's dead. It's always an honor to get to witness anything or anyone transform into the Force.
Okay, well, again, that was the first time Osha had revealed that she could connect to the Force. She could sense the creature. So, but maybe you're right. Maybe either of the interpretations of that line, yours or mine, could be correct.
True. Yeah.
Maybe someone in the chat will set us straight. Hearing it now, maybe I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's Jason's right. But I thought she was addressing transform into the Force, meaning being able to connect with the Force. And being able to
she follows that up with says, although you've had more experience with death than I have.
Okay. All right. Then maybe she's talking about that big bug. Yeah. I think she
might be talking about the big bug.
I got to admit, I found the two interactions between Osha and Jackie to be a little stiff. I felt that I didn't feel any chemistry coming off of the two as they were interacting with each other. However, I'm not trying to insult anyone's acting skills. I'm just saying I didn't note any real chemistry. I thought that, Jackie is interesting, and she does have a way to provide little bits of emotion. So sometimes she just seems kind of put off. Other times she just seems kind of like, what do you mean? That kind of thing. But she's still able to exude that through all of the prosthetics and makeup she's wearing, which I think that's kind of a feat.
I think Jackie is the type of kid that reminds the teacher that she hadn't collected the homework.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think she's the teacher's pet, isn't she? Yeah, she sure is, man. She sure is.
But I just, so it was a weird line. It was a weird line, but it did lead into a revelation that Osha has, because she says, "Well, I could never accept death as a true Jedi should." She couldn't accept it. A true Jedi. I couldn't accept what I'd lost. How unfair it felt. The resentment I felt for my sister, even though I missed her at the same time. So this clearly is sort of the reason for her having to leave the Jedi Council, or this is the genesis of it. It comes back to attachment. It comes back to not being able to let go. We even hear Saul say, I think in episode 2, "Let go," and she still can't do it. So there are these nuggets in this episode buried in the dialogue. If you look for them, they're there. Sometimes you got to print out a transcript and read it, because they are there. They are there.
Yeah. Yes.
So we got a jammed. This is fantastic. We got a jammed switchboard right now.
Okay, good.
So
well, let's talk to people.
It's jammed. You want to talk to people, or do you want to?
Well, we should wrap up just
end?
like how we felt about the arrival. The death of Kelnacca, obviously, and the arrival of the Sith Lord or dark side user. Again, I want to point out to everyone, the word Sith has not been used in dialogue at all in the first 4 episodes. So we're halfway through. It's really easy to jump to the conclusion that we're dealing with a Sith Lord. but something tells me this is a bait and switch. Something's up with this. You know, there are just some consistencies with the Sith that I'm not really noting being present here with Qimir and May. So and this other Sith Lord, I'm not feeling it yet. I don't think we had confirmation that the Sith is, you know, at work here. I think they are. Because I mean, they're the ultimate puppet masters, and they usually work in the shadows, and they do use people. To go back to Qimir says, you know, he likes to collect people.
Well,
you know, I mean, it just everybody might just be a pawn.
Okay,
for the real.
Okay, all right. But at this point, we can safely say that the Sith have been extinct for almost a millennium. They've been extinct for almost 900 years. So if you think about something that, you know, a cult, let's call it, that existed 900 years ago, even if they waged war, the name might not be at the tip of your tongue because so many years have passed. And also the Sith are really trying to stay incognito. So they're not necessarily going to call themselves that. I think there's, when you see in the Genndy series, when Asajj Ventress says, I am Sith, you know, she's proclaiming it. And that's something that I don't think a real Sith would ever do. Yeah. And Dooku takes her to school after that.
The first response it elicits from Dooku is he just starts laughing his ass off at the absurdity of her planting that flag right in front of him, as he is a Sith Lord himself. Now, the saying from our pal, our main man Mundi, is he says the Sith have been extinct for nearly a millennium or whatever, but that's not true. That's not true because the Sith exist, but they're working as a pair as opposed to an army. They have been hiding out in the shadows. So, I mean, we as an audience certainly know the Sith has been existing and up to no good for 1,000 years. Just because they're not on the Jedi radar anymore doesn't mean they cease to exist. The big failure of the Jedi is not realizing that the Sith was out there tipping the balance of the Force gradually until it became a big problem by the time of Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, and by the time it became almost too late.
Too late.
Yeah.
Way too well. Palpatine was the chancellor. So
right. Yeah, that's pretty late.
Yeah, they're way too late.
Well, so let's talk about May's turn here. Some interesting dialogue. She's still going through the forest with Qimir. Thank you. And she says, like, she comes to this revelation. She's like, it's not a test. I have to fight a Wookiee. It's not a test. It's not a test. He calls it the final lesson. He says your final lesson is one you teach yourself. You will kill a Jedi without a weapon. Attacking a defenseless person goes against everything the Jedi stands for. How do you kill someone like that? Unarmed? It's not a test. It's impossible. This is May saying this. It's not a test. It's impossible. Why is it impossible? Because it goes against everything the Jedi stands for. So why is all of a sudden May feeling open or receptive to the Jedi way? The only thing that makes this impossible, based on the dialogue that she's saying, is that because it goes against, attacking a defenseless person goes against everything the Jedi stands for. And then, of course, Qimir is like, it's not impossible. You know that. He's trying to, pump her up. I want this more than anything, but it's impossible. And if I don't do it, he'll kill me. You don't even care. So she starts to realize that she's being manipulated and used by this Qimir guy. But I still don't get why she's doing this math in her head about it being impossible, because it is against what the Jedi stand for.
Well, she just came to the conclusion that she's on a fool's errand. She can't provoke a Jedi to fight her unless she uses a weapon, I believe is the bottom line for her. That she can't figure out a way to get a Jedi to engage with her unless she reveals a weapon. I think if it was me walking into a cantina and I walked up to a Jedi master and without even saying a word, I just like gave him, a wet willy right in the ear.
Yeah.
I think that Jedi would get up ready to do some brawling. So, I mean, that's the wet willy philosophy that I would take. I would instill that in May. I would say, just go, start pranking them and stuff. But no, she believes that the Jedi will remain pacifists unless truly threatened with a weapon. So she can't figure out the solution, the best way to engage a Jedi without a weapon, because fighting someone who's unarmed stands against everything that the Jedi stand for. It goes against everything the Jedi stand for. But she also believes that, it's hard to get inside May's head, because what does she believe? Does she believe the Jedi killed the witch's coven? Or did May actually do it? We've never heard her address that specific situation. The only time she did is when she and Osha were on the other sides of that collapsed bridge. And she says, "What'd you do?" And then May says, "Well, what did you do?" And then Osha says, "What did you do?" Polish off the Emmys for the writers of that stuff. Polish off those Emmys, because that's a no-brainer. What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? And then the bridge collapses. So that is like the extent of the dialogue that we've seen May get into about the destruction of the witch's coven. And Soul places the blame firmly on May for starting the fire. And we saw May start a fire. So it is, all of the arrows point to May being the one who's responsible for the death of the family. Also, if she's willing to give up her quest for revenge because she discovers Osha is still alive, that means her revenge was fueled by the death of Osha, not by the death of the witch's coven. That's what I believe, because if she felt like she needed to go on a revengeful streak and kill Jedi because they killed the witch's coven, then she would still have a legitimate reason for wanting to hold on to that grudge and for wanting to seek that revenge. But no, it appears that her revenge was only motivated by the death of Osha, and discovering Osha is alive then removes the quest for revenge from May.
But that should have happened very quickly. That
of course
should have happened in the moment when she realizes that Osha is still alive. She's halfway to her mission, halfway through with her mission of killing Kelnacca. Although, look, when faced with having to attack and kill a Wookiee and be unarmed at the same time,
yes,
that's a challenge. But
and whoever
this one's not adding up to me.
Was armed. Whoever killed Kelnacca was armed,
right?
So why is it so important for her to kill Jedi unarmed? Is that maybe just a lesson in the dark side? How you don't need weapons. You have the strength of the Force, and you can use the dark side to kill a Jedi. Prove yourself. Is it that sort of situation? If that, and then that would be specifically about May and her training. To me, that makes sense, I guess. But then when we stumble upon Kelnacca, he's already been offed and clearly been sliced with a saber, which somehow kills him. You could poke a saber right through Sabine and that silly Inquisitor lady, and you can do all that, but you just brush it across Kelnacca's chest. He's dead.
Yeah, yeah.
I want lightsaber consistency here.
All right. Osha May says to Qimir, "You were wrong. Osha being alive does change everything. My loyalty is to Osha, not your master. what I'm going to do is surrender myself to Kelnacca and then turn myself into the Jedi.
It's odd. It's abrupt.
It's very abrupt. He says, the Jedi will put you in prison. She goes, not after I tell them who I know. I'm going to rat out the master. He says, he'll kill you. He'd have to find me first. And I don't know if he'd even make it all the way through here without a guide. Who was the guide? The guide was Qimir. So we're pointing back to Qimir. So she runs off to Kelnacca's house. She finds Kelnacca dead. The Jedi show up. Fondor is like saying, come out with your hands up. And it's at that moment when we see this really, like you said, Jim, like horror movie inspired drop behind Osha of the master, the Sith master. And it reminded me, there's a horror movie element to it. We see Dooku fly in the Gendy series. I think that's the only time we've seen a Jedi fly.
You know, it kind of feels like,
or float or whatever.
Revenge of the Sith, that Vader sort of takes flight when they're battling in the carbon.
Oh, you mean in Empire Strikes Back?
In Empire, yeah. What did I say?
Revenge of the Sith.
I thought. I'm sorry. It's whatever. There's so many stupid movies.
When he leaps off the stairs and he kind of glides.
He kind of glides. He glide, for lack of a better term. He sort of glides down. When I first got a glimpse of that in one of the trailers, I'm almost positive I saw it in a trailer. I was like, holy crap, Darth Vader flies. He flies now? He flies now. Yeah. But that wasn't quite the case. But it was sort of like he does glide to a certain extreme. But do we ever see any Sith Lords flying? I guess not. You know, we've seen Jedi do things that defy gravity, no question about that. So, I think if a Jedi can jump really high, he can also kind of float his way down too. It's very Dracula, very Batman.
Oh yeah,
and of course the soundtrack had what could be considered a cliche, the sort of dissonant string sound with the bow on the violins. It's sort of it's kind of cliche, but it's so effective. It's really so effective.
There's a reason why they use it. But boy, everybody's head turns when they see this thing show up. And there it is. Now, I've looked at this quite a bit. And, the shoulders are not, this is not a broad-shouldered individual. Mm-hmm. I think the jury, obviously the jury's still out on who it is. There's the smart money's on Qimir. I'm not ruling out that this could be Mother Anastasia.
Mother Anastasia. Or it could be Coral. Mother Coral.
I'm thinking Mother Anastasia, and I'll tell you why. Because Mother Anastasia is the one that learned from what we think is a Sith Lord how to make Force babies.
Yeah, maybe.
So she's got a history with this, perhaps.
We saw her lying there dead, but of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi walked away from Anakin Skywalker thinking he was dead, and he reemerged completely encased in armor as a dark side user, a Sith Lord. So that could be one of the two. Mother Anastasia would be a big bomb to drop.
Oh, sure.
But it also adds up.
The character is, and the fact that this thing makes no attempt to hurt Osha.
Right. Just almost pushes her to safety.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. Almost pushes her to safety from the Jedi onslaught that's about to happen. Now, I will tell you this. Watching the show and seeing this saber pop up between Osha and this Sith Master, I thought this was it for Osha. And I thought the rest of the series was going to be about May turning to the light side, getting trained, going after the revenge for the death of her sister. So I thought, this is all about bringing her back to the dark side, essentially, eventually.
And a Jedi can't go out seeking revenge. That's against the
By
order,
Osha, I mean, but May's no Jedi.
Right. Well, you said she gets trained. I was assuming you meant she got trained by the Jedi.
Yeah, but then she would eventually. This was all about securing May as an acolyte, as a Sith apprentice.
Right.
A little bit of a detour here, but kill Osha, and then which completely isolates her. Then get her angry. But at any rate, she's safe. He just gives that little nudge. These are some cool screenshots that I took. It was a very intense, cool scene. We saw some of this in the trailers leading up to the release of the show. The Jedi with their sabers drawn and going after the Sith master, who just does that little flick of the two fingers, and boom, Osha's off, and he, she, or it is ready to do business. And the force push is incredible. I mean, one force push, and what is that? Like a dozen Jedi, practically, including Saul.
8.
8 Jedi.
I did a head count.
Okay,
There were 8 of them.
8 Jedi. You know, with one fell swoop. This is a pretty powerful individual that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, for sure. And Mother Anastasia was a pretty powerful individual as well. So, they did spend time showing Anastasia being an adept force user and someone who would be very capable in a combat situation should it necessitate itself.
Remember, the power of many was never shown. We saw the power of one, push, power of two, push. Then she got interrupted for the power of many. I think we just saw the power of many. I think we just saw it. When this character pushes those 8 Jedi away. Many.
Then you might be saying, well, that can't be Mother Anastasia. We heard this Darksider speak in an earlier episode, but, I mean, come on. Did anybody see that Solo movie with Enfys Nest? And she had a masculine voice under that helmet all the way up until she pulled off the helmet to reveal a really terrible actress underneath. So, I'm sorry, that girl, I lay in on her pretty hard, but she's just about the worst actress I've ever seen. The way she butchered every scene she was in that Willow show was just, God, I mean, enough. The franchises all need to just lay off of that girl. I don't even know her name, but the
showing up in everything.
Right?
She was in Return of the Jedi when they finally take out the big Star Destroyer and it goes in and it crashes into the Death Star, and Akbar just leans back in his chair like that. That's pretty much how I feel after we've gone through the entire episode. I really relate to Akbar when he just goes.
Of Acolyte?
Of Acolyte, yeah. I feel this sense of relief when we've like hit all the beats of the story, and now it's time just to take phone calls. Okay.
Well, last week you were clearly gassed by the end.
I was.
Discussion. I was like, oh,
I
God.
was. Now it's your turn to entertain us, callers.
Yeah, call us. Talk to us. But I mean, I did think that scene though with the Darksider was pretty effective.
It was very cool. Best thing in the show so far. Really, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was very cool.
And a cool cliffhanger to leave all the action, because it's going to pick up next week in the same spot. So there's going to be. I really find it unlikely.
I was so ticked off. I was like, now, when it's finally gotten good, I get the credits.
Well, now? I mean, somebody in the Facebook group was complaining about the cliffhanger, and very quickly, some astute Rebel Force Radio listeners were reminding this person, hey, Star Wars itself was inspired by the classic serials of the 30s and 40s with Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon. And oftentimes those stories would end on a big cliffhanger like this one, or just stop right in the middle of a sequence and you'd have to wait and see what happens next week. So that's what's happening. I
had no issues with it feeling un-Star Warsy or anything like that. Just as a viewer, I was like, no! no.
Yes.
It's finally
Well,
good.
of course. Obviously, you want to see more.
Yes.
And the binge generation doesn't know how to wrap their heads around things like this. You know, it's like,
Right.
oh my God, you're asking me to be patient? Oh, I can't. But you have to. And it's better this way because now you have a whole week to sort of speculate about what's going to happen next.
Right.
And that's the funnest part about Star Wars.
I like Steve Perkins here in the chat. He says, how mad will you be when next week's episode is another flashback show?
Well, there's definitely going to be more flashbacks.
Yeah.
To the events that happened on Brendok, because I distinctly recall a visual of Kelnacca leaping into the air with his green saber coming down to strike someone. So there's going to be another point of view presented via flashbacks. I hope that whatever flashback does occur, it happens just briefly and doesn't dominate an entire episode. Because I can't go back there for a whole episode again. I just can't. I just cannot go back to those witches for another full episode. And I hope I never have to.
I'm with you, buddy. I am with you.
I accept the backstory, but I just don't want to spend any more time with these broads. I just don't.
All right, let's go to the phones on that note. Let's hear from Charlie. Charlie's in Chicago, first-time caller and Patreon member. Hello, Charlie. Welcome to Rebel Force Radio After Show.
I'm so excited, guys. I'm here to tell you, answer all your questions. Vernestra is the Sith.
Oh,
Osha
really?
Is
that could be. Like I said, she has a very unlikable quality that could lead to her actually evolving into a villain. I feel those vibes coming off.
She's being rejected by the Jedi. So if you notice in the last episode, there's that one part where Sol comes to get her at the galactic bus station or whatever, and she says something to the effect of, "You're asking me back to the order," and she kind of lights up, and he's like, "No." He's like, "You need to help get your sister back." And she's disappointed, right?
Yeah. Well, she knows that she's bait. She's bait for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so there's two big lies happening in this show. One is the lie that was told to May about her sister being dead.
Yep.
And then the other is the lie about what happened that night. And the first reveal of the truth to the lie that was told to May is that May just is like, "Oh, well, I guess I don't care about this anymore," right? I'll just go to the Jedi, turn myself in, and end all this because May's alive, or because Osha's alive.
Because Osha's alive,
but
right.
That May is alive, it's anger, right? Like there's like fury and rage on her face, and she does hesitate, but she still shoots. And then you know that they've sort of primed you. They have these 4 Jedi, all of them except for Sol are hiding from something. Right.
Right.
But Sol is, I think, the only one who actually doesn't really know what happened. But I think he's starting to suspect as he tells this unknowing lie over and over again that your sister started a fire. And burned
all right. So you're
down.
saying that Sol is also in the dark, but the other ones know.
Yes, because, and so when you talk about killing a Jedi, I think it's metaphorical. I don't think it's literal. I think they're saying take what a Jedi is and end it. So take Sol. This master has provided May with 4 sort of damaged people that she can try to corrupt, but she's not getting the lesson, and instead she's just killing them. So you get to Sol. Sol, once he finds out the lie, what's he going to do? Is he going to kill an unarmed person in rage? Is he going what's he going to do? Or is Osha going to do that? So Osha's been rejected, angry. She, there's all these people all the Jedi are primed to turn. One of them just kills himself, right?
Yeah.
Out of guilt.
Yeah.
So are you saying, Charlie, that you think that May and Osha are going to do like a little switcheroo where it's Osha that's going to fall to the dark side and May's going to be on the light side?
Yeah, she seems to be kind of on a redemption path to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact that it doesn't seem like she really cared about anything the master was doing until, after she finds out her sister is alive. She's just kind of like, why does she turn so fast? Do you know what I mean?
It's like, what do I need this guy for?
Yes. And then you got Vernestra, who seemingly has no point to the story except to tell people, like, don't tell mom, right? Her first is like, hey, a Jedi was murdered. We know who it is. Go kill her, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's basically what she's like, just quietly. This doesn't sound very Jedi-like to me. And then they fly out there, right? Mm-hmm. They capture her. She gets put on this prison ship. Prison ship crashes. And she's like, oh, no, she's dead. Don't even bother checking. Right?
Yeah.
And what this does is this provides
trust us
with this convenient excuse to keep her acolyte at that time a secret. And when that failed, she just had to go with it. Right? So like kind of like Palpatine. He's got Darth Maul. He gets cut in half. All right, next. Right? So,
I'm glad you brought up Darth Maul, Charlie, because that's something I thought about. Like this Sith being so powerful that he's able to force push, or they're able to force push 8 Jedi, including Saul, which by all accounts is a pretty strong one. And you had Darth Maul, who was being trained by Sidious, and Obi-Wan's a Padawan. At that point, he's not a knight, and he's able to take care of Darth Maul.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, that makes sense. I just think as Sidious as a Sith Lord, I think that yes, he does train his apprentice to be a killing machine, but he doesn't teach him everything. He wants to keep him down a little bit because the Sith tradition is the apprentice kills his master. And that's how the order evolves. And that's how leadership is passed from master to apprentice, is by killing the apprentice, killing the master. So if I was training someone to be a Sith Lord, I would keep a lot of secrets to myself. I'm just saying. I would not train the most competent, greatest Sith Lord of all time. My apprentice would be a loser. My apprentice would be a slacker. He would suck. He would be the suckiest Sith of all time, just because I'm into self-preservation, and I have to have an apprentice because that's part of the rule of 2.
Right,
but my
right. It's like Matt's just checking the box. All right, this technically is an apprentice.
My apprentice is going to be totally bush league, and it's just weak and lame. He's going to be the worst Sith ever. But hey, I got my apprentice, and I'll be living a long time.
Yep.
Hey, Charlie, thanks for
piggybacking on that. Now, okay.
We've got
no problem, guys.
We got to jump to somebody else. But great call. Thank you, Charlie, and thanks for your patronage. Appreciate it, buddy. All right, let's talk to. We got a Patreon from the Boston area. Wow, that's mysterious. Hello, Boston area acolyte. Oh, the acolyte watch party. That's what it is.
Yeah,
okay.
The blop.
Hey.
The power of Eddie.
All right, what are you knuckleheads thinking about this week?
Oh boy.
Well, I'm going to start off. This is David from Boston.
Hey, Dave.
Out of the 4 of us, I think I'm the one that's having the hardest time with the series. I think there's a good story there, but I just think the execution is not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I did really enjoy the Potty Mouth Prophet over this weekend. And he mentioned there's going to be the Roshmont thing coming. I see the seeds of it, but unless the next 4 episodes really do it, I mean, I just think they made a big mistake last weekend with the flashback, that it should have been properly edited, that could have been sprinkled throughout, and it might have made things a little bit better. Those are my 2 cents. I'm going over to birthday boy Brian.
Oh, Brian, happy birthday.
Hey, what's up, guys?
He does. That guy makes a good
very much.
point.
I got some Rebel Force swag. I got Scott got me a nice Rebel Force hoodie for my birthday.
Oh,
today,
very
so it was
good.
awesome.
Very good.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Check out the shop at rebelforceradio.com for all of your Rebel Force Radio fashion desires.
Now, Mac
glad
was
I
just
could- I'm
talking.
glad I
Mac
could
was
get that
just commenting on Dave from Boston's note that about the series. What were you saying, Jim?
Oh gosh, I thought he made an interesting prediction there, but then I got sidetracked by the RFR hoodies, and I can't remember what it was.
Okay, all right. Well, birthday boy, tell us, what are you thinking about this episode?
I'll be quick and then move on for you guys. I think the episode was good. My theory in it is that the Sith are going to take care of themselves at the end of this, that they're using everybody we've seen so far as a pawn. And then at the end, Smilo Ren is going to get taken out by whoever the actual Sith Lord is to cover their tracks after they've accomplished whatever they need to accomplish. So also, you guys gave me a lot of crap last time about saying the Wookiee looked terrible. And all I want to say is, you don't have to spend a lot of money if you're going to knock them off after 4 minutes of screen time.
True. I don't care how good you make him look. It's a terrible idea.
Again, there is a glimpse
I'm
of
gonna give you
footage
guys the
that
Scott.
we haven't seen yet that shows him wielding the green saber and force leaping into battle.
Yeah.
So
I remember exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, he's jumping, or as you say, force leaping with
So we're not
saber
done
in
with
hand.
we're not
But
done.
there was an official statement from, I can't remember who it was, Jim, but somebody went on Twitter and explained why we didn't see the battle between whoever killed Kelnacca, and they apparently had it in the script and it was value engineered out. They basically laid it on the budget.
Okay. That she did say something about budget, but she also said things get cut because of story reasons as well. And I think it's impossible to set up even maybe this is a vague mystery, but it seems to me at the end of this episode, we are all left to kind of debate whether or not it was the Sith Lord who killed Kelnacca or it was someone else. I thought it was that little otter beaver. And or it could have been Qimir. We didn't see it, so it provides an area of debate as we're waiting for next week's episode. And this is a show that likes to fancy itself as a mystery. It seems like mystery really drives the story a lot. And I think this falls into that category. So she said things get cut for budgetary and story reasons. It was originally written with the attack on the Wookiee being shown on screen. But even if it was, I'm not sure if the identity of the attacker would have been revealed so quickly.
I don't see how they would have made that work. I don't think they could have made that work because then it would have spoiled the ending.
You'd have to see the color of the saber,
right,
and all of that. Now, this little otter beaver, Basil, he is a Jedi. He must also have a saber, and he was the only person there.
How do we know he's a Jedi?
Because he's revealed as a Jedi. They say he's a Jedi.
I thought he was just like having a canine dog. He's sniffing things out.
No. This guy, he's a Jedi. He's part of the Order. He's not just like somebody tagging along. He's actually.
I thought he was the pet. I thought he was basically the canine dog, sniffing out Kelnacca.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I believe he's a member of the Order, and just a lot of fun to hang with. I don't know if there's confirmation of that. I saw StarWars.com put out an article about him, and I bet you anything that I can find this information somewhere in the article about Basil. Or I could just open up the spice cabinet and look in there and see what the ingredients are.
I'm going on record as saying I don't think Basil's a Jedi. He's no Jedi. But let's see what our friends in Boston have to say. I had to mute these guys. They're just so rowdy and raucous.
I forgot they were even.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, Boston?
Hey, this is Boston Dan over here. And while watching this episode, it seemed like that it was the storyline was cut short. I once again reminiscing back to what FJ was saying, that a lot of the movies that they had already written out were stretched out and made into series, these mini-series, for example, like Kenobi. And I feel like that this was a 12-episode show that they shortened it down to 8 episodes. I usually like to point out the return of Osha back to back to the Jedi Temple and her being cleared, and it was only done in like a few sentences, and they cleared her. And then also the sudden change of May with the quick struggle of what she was doing, and then transferring over to, I'm going to do everything I can to make everything right. I feel for something like that, a character arc would have been if it lasted a little bit longer and she was struggling with a couple of the episodes. But in this one, they just cut it right to it. They in episode 2, she saw her sister. Episode 3 was a flashback, and then episode 4 was the sudden transfer over. Like actually halfway through the show was the changeover, which it feels just really rushed to me. And that was like the kind of the only real issue I had with the episode this time around.
Okay, that's fair, because I feel that May suddenly giving up was very abrupt. And I feel like there should have been some more setup to that, or some sort of moment that would have given her a more significant crossing the threshold moment that we all see and experience along with her. Now, I have a correction. Basil, a natural tracker and ally of the Jedi Order. This is from StarWars.com. So he's not a Jedi.
Okay.
He's an ally. Basil has a hypersensitive nose that can detect his quarry at a distance. The diminutive Basil is tenacious in his hunt.
He's a
but
bloodhound.
he ain't no Jedi. He ain't no Jedi. Yeah. He's just their beaver otter dog.
Yeah, exactly.
That's who he is. Yeah, he's just basically, he's a
all right,
German
Boston.
Shepherd.
Anybody else want to jump on?
Yep, we got Scott St. Louis right over here.
All right, Scott.
Hey, guys.
Hey, buddy.
Good to talk with you.
Yeah.
We got the red milk going, and
the red milk.
Thanks for helping us get through this week.
You do
the
red milk for Acolyte?
The bleeding Kyber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the bleeding Kyber. They were drinking that last week.
Light side. And the blue milk goes well with the blue Oreos. The red milk goes well with the red Oreos.
Oh. All right.
So,
these are tips from pros here. I mean,
just want to say, sorry, can we hurry up with this? I got to get these guys out of my house. Anyway, just want to say thank you guys for getting us through these weeks. And as for me, the only thing I want from Disney is I want like an old style mini series that we got like in the 70s and the 80s, like Roots, where there'd be like a 5-night event. Drop this all in a week, because I'm tired of waiting for Star Wars. It was bad enough waiting from 1980 to 1983. But hey, that's all I got to say. That's,
I kind of like the idea of like a 5-nighter. That'd be sort of fun. Those were the days back then. That's great.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like it. I like it up until. Go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say we'd have to do after shows like every day. It would be awesome.
I know. That's the part that drives fear into me. That scheduling something like that. Boy, oh boy, we would do it though.
Of course,
we would do it. Yeah,
we'd have to. We'd have to.
And that's why we love you.
All right. Well, we love you guys too. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. See, these guys get together every week, watch the after show. Scott. It sounds like Scott's the host. So he's got these.
Yeah.
He's got these guys.
He's the main leader of the debauchery.
All right. Well, I think everybody knows what time it is, right?
Time for Blake's Take.
Blake, what's going on, buddy? Chut.
How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. You're our palate cleanser, getting away from the Boston guys. So what do you got for us this week? We've thrown out a lot of ideas. There's a lot of theories on the table about who the Dark Master could be. Could it be Saul? Could it be Vernestra? Could it be Qimir?
I have a bunch of different people who I think could be this.
Well, there can only be one, Blake. So give us your top choice.
Oh, yeah, that's why.
Your top choice and your runner-up.
Your guys' help narrow it down.
Oh, you need our help. Oh, well, you didn't say that. Okay, now we're talking.
You've come to the right place, young Blake.
Right.
You've come to the right place.
Okay, so the first one that I have is the one everyone has been saying he's the Sith. It's got to be him. It's just got to be
Qimir.
However you say his name.
Qimir, yeah.
Qimir. I can never say it right.
Yeah, Qimir. It's a tough one.
But that's one where everyone I've heard like a bunch of people say that it's got to be him. He's got to be the Sith Lord. Like he is a top choice for it. He has a bunch of hints in this episode. Like Qimir in this episode, Osha says to him, "I needed you, and I couldn't have came here without you." It's like along those words. It's along those lines.
Right.
Basically,
We
that
did the guide. Yeah.
saying how she couldn't find this place, and then he was saying that he found where he was.
He found Kelnacca. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, he found Kelnacca, and she's talking about how you need. He was talking. I remember who it was. Someone was saying about how you need a guide. I think it was him.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he's the guide. He's the guide, and May says towards the end, after she sort of turns on him, she says, "Well, I'm not afraid of the Master because how would he find me? He'd need a guide." Well, you're looking at the guide.
Yeah, there's an interaction between the two that sets all of that up. When he reveals Qimir, says, "Hey, where are you going?" Because it appears that May was prepared to go off on her own to hunt down Kelnacca. But for some reason, Qimir manipulates the situation so he can be at her side through the whole thing. Maybe a witness is required in this situation to make sure she actually does kill him unarmed, kill Kelnacca unarmed. So it gets set up that the Force is very dangerous, right? And that Qimir, he warns May about going off on her own because Kofar is largely uncharted, meaning you never know what's behind, around each corner because people haven't been there to find where the safe trails are on this planet. He even says bounty hunters won't set foot in these forests. And we know Star Wars bounty hunters to be pretty damn badass. So this establishes a few things. The forest and the surrounding area has the potential of dangerous situations. It establishes a reason for Qimir to tag along with May and always be present in what she's doing. And it also, what's my third point here? What do you think is the third point? What didn't I bring up, young Blake? Because I was going somewhere. But
See, now Mac needs your help. You called for our help. Yeah. Now Mac needs your help.
Some of us older Star Wars fans, we talk because we think we're going to a certain place, and then we get to that place and it's not there. So that's why I need you, Blake. Give me some youthful brain synapses firing here to help me out.
I know that when this is different, I'm pretty sure from what you were just talking about. When he's hanging upside down, though, he switches tones. Like he goes full serious and he says, "He will kill you."
Yeah, he does.
Like just completely switches.
Yep.
That's what really points towards it for me.
All right. Who is suspect number 2, Blake?
Suspect number 2 is the mom, Crystal.
Coral.
Oh, Coral.
Not Coral.
Yeah, Coral.
That's
Coral.
from Dr. No. Coral.
I have it written down, and I read it, and I don't know what I was thinking.
Well, I threw out the idea that it's Mother Anastasia because there's
That's my next person.
all right. So I think Mother Anastasia is more likely than Coral, but Mac threw out, it could also be Coral. If we're looking at Anastasia, why not look at Coral too? She's definitely the more militant of the two.
Yes, and the one with the bigger grudge, it seemed. She wanted to kill the Jedi.
Yeah, she's
when they
more
landed
the one
on
that
Brent.
wants to be the Sith.
Yeah, in their sleep. Didn't she want to sneak into their camp at night and slit their
Which
throats?
is a very Sithy thing to do, because we knew that Sidious did that to Plagueis. And that's canon.
Yeah. So I think that, here's how I would rank them. I would say Qimir is number 1 for me. Number 2 is Mother Anastasia. And number 3 is a character that is yet to be revealed, meaning that there is no reveal in terms of it being somebody we've already met. So no big wow shock factor, which would be on par. By the way, would be on par for Star Wars live action TV series. All Star Wars TV series for that matter. We have not had, everyone's looking for the I am your father moment. Give me an example of what we've gotten that even is close to that. We always have these speculations. So I'm going to go with number 3 is nobody, and number 4 is Saul. So I'm putting nobody before Saul, but I'm not taking him off my list.
Vernestra doesn't fall into this category anywhere. Vernestra? Vern, as me and her friends call her.
I got to
Vern.
correct myself. My suspicion of Saul is that he could be the ultimate Sith Lord that would be above the Sith Master. So I'll throw Vernestra Rowe in there. I'll throw her in there. Yeah.
I mean, she's so unlikable. She has such great potential to be a villain. I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised. The actress, Rebecca Henderson, is actually married to Leslie Headland. So you think the director would want to put her wife up on some pedestal and make her the superhero of the show. But things aren't always.
You can't be that obvious, you know.
Well, you know, we're dealing with Star Wars in the year 2024, so I don't know what to think. But, you know, the way this story is being crafted and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Vernestra Rowe turned out to be some sort of double agent or something. That would be great. That'd be great. All of the options.
She has the most. She has the longest roots in the High Republic universe, right? Vernestra Rowe.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
So that would be a big deal.
You know, maybe Yoda may have been around a little bit longer, but he's not been revealed as
Yoda's a suspect now.
Now, yeah. Yoda and Kitster. Kitster also has not been revealed as innocent yet.
Yeah, he's still on the list. All right. Hey, Blake, thanks as always, buddy. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you next week, okay?
Okay.
All right, buddy. Appreciate the call. Let's jump over to Chandler from Atlanta. Hello, Chandler, Patreon member. Chandler.
Hey, long time listener.
Hey, there he is. Hey, Chandler.
Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yep.
Hey guys, long time listener. Love the show. So here's my harebrained numbskull theory. So I think that Darth Gingivitis, whatever the hell his name is, I think that he is actually sending May out to kill these 4 Jedi, not for revenge, but I think that they know something about the Force birth, and he's trying to eliminate witnesses. So I think what happened is they found out what happened with the Force births, and then what happens is he decides, well, we got to do something about this. So he sends May to go kill them. So that way, if they kill her, then more evidence is gone, and he can just wipe out the rest of them. I think either way, he views it as a win.
I like that. If the witches are employing some sort of Sith magic that they learned from a Sith Lord, and then all of a sudden they're being investigated by the Jedi, yes, the Sith would go out of their way to exterminate any loose ends that might have had knowledge of this. Just like the mobsters they are. They would whack Jedi who had knowledge, and maybe these Jedi do have the knowledge. There has to be something there other than May's vendetta. There has to be something else there that motivates the Sith, and they specifically want to see these 4 Jedi offed.
So
if the Sith are indeed behind it.
Not only did Saul not tell Vernestra Rowe that there was a sister, he also didn't tell her that there was a chance that the twin survived. I bet we're going to find out that he also didn't share with her that it was likely a Force birth.
Oh,
yeah,
probably not.
Probably. I mean, I would bet that he may not even know. I think he was too busy getting the kids, and I think the other 3, were more in depth with the fighting, the witch coven.
But why does Kelnacca have the illustrations on his in his domicile of those Sith tattoos? Is he researching them, or is it something else? Is he one of them? That's something else. That's a twist that might be in there. Like Kelnacca himself was in league with these witches. I don't know what the relationship between witch and Wookiee is.
Well, I mean, it's just true. You can't trust a Wookiee Jedi.
That's right. He just does not like the Wookiee Jedi.
What was that, Chandler?
I said you can't trust them, but I can.
Oh, okay.
They're cool.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Right.
And
we are devotees of the Wookiee Jedi.
And with that,
me and Chandler.
Chandler, I have to turn my back on you. That's the end of your call. There he goes. There goes Chandler. Let's talk to Brian. Brian's calling in from Tennessee. He's got a theory, wants to share. Hey, Brian.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
There is nothing that you have said or that anybody has said that I wasn't going to talk about. So I guess thunder and has been stolen.
Well, it's okay. Maybe you'll state it better. Maybe you'll. Yeah.
Well, no. Listen, I'm from the South. I don't state many things better. Let me just say this,
y'all.
That I will, y'all. I will say this. The Yoda does say this has nothing to do with my theories, but Yoda does say rejoice when somebody goes to the Force, when somebody's transformed to the Force. Going back to
he said that to Anakin hours before Anakin raided the Jedi Temple and killed younglings.
That's exactly right.
Hey, Yoda, I thought we were supposed to rejoice. Are you rejoicing in all these Padawans being massacred?
Do you think that was the green light? You think that was the green light Anakin was looking for there? Like,
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
Hey,
some rejoice. Yoda said I could do it, so I'll do it.
Right.
Then to go back to the otter kid, the otter guy, in the audio description, they actually say he's a Jedi. They say it multiple times. They say Jedi. What Basil? They call him Jedi.
But according to StarWars.com, he's an
They
ally.
call him Jedi several times. Yeah, go back after I guess tonight and just go to that point where he's sniffing it out and they'll call him Jedi Basil.
Right. Okay. They take those notes from the script itself. So, whatever they're smoking at StarWars.com, I think they do things just to throw us off the track. But, that because I knew I wasn't just making that up. I thought Basil was a Jedi. It would make more sense if he was actually an ally of the Jedi, like they say on the website. But the audio descriptive track does refer to him as Jedi. Yeah.
Jedi Basil.
Yeah. Jason, I'm with you when you talk about Mother Anastasia, and the only reason there's two reasons. Number one, they talk about Maid says something interesting. She says this isn't a test. This is a lesson. And if you go back and think about episode 3, what Anastasia was doing was giving lessons. She wasn't giving them tests. She was giving them lessons. And then the forced push. Now, she's had 16 years to increase that forced push. But that's what she was doing in those lessons was forced pushing. She may have gotten better at it. Who knows? The Sith may have come
we didn't
back
get
to
a
her
chance,
and said,
though.
hey,
Brian, we didn't get a chance because she was interrupted. She was going to do the power of many.
Yeah.
But girls, were acting a fool.
Settle down back there. I'm turning this coven around and we're going home.
I will throw one person out that nobody said it tonight, and it's Indara. And I know we saw her die, but if people can come back from a lightsaber 1,000 degrees in the gut, not melting yet, then one little knife shouldn't kill a Jedi. But here's the reason: every murder has a motive. And Anastasia has a motive in that they took one of her daughters.
Right.
The Sith may be playing her on that she took one of her daughters. That may be a motive. The other would be Indara's. Maybe she wasn't on the up and up in what she did. Now, a couple of callers have said that Saul might not have seen what went down in that little temple or whatever we want to call that place. So maybe Indara is trying to clean up her mess and kill the Jedis that were there.
Here's the thing. Well, one thing I think looking at Indara though, I think is smart. Not because I think she's potentially a Sith master, but we've got Kelnacca and Torben, who we can visibly see trying to cope with whatever trauma was created or that they experienced on Brendok. But you don't see Saul. I mean, I guess you could make a case that Saul, the way he's coping with it is his attachment to Osha and now his kind of obsession with May. Okay. But we don't know anything about Indara. We don't know how the what happened on Brendok affected her at all. There's some speculation that she was in that bar because she was in hiding. I don't know that that's necessarily true. Could be. She had the hood up. So maybe she was trying to maintain a low profile.
I thought the same thing, Jason. I thought all three of them are dealing with something in their own way. Kelnacca, all he can get out, and he's tormented by that circle. He's tormented by that, and that's why it's on the wall so many times. Torben was so tormented by whatever happened that he took the Barash vow.
Right.
And then here's the thing with Indara. The only thing I can go to is maybe she wasn't on an outpost. Maybe she was there. She vanquished herself there. But think about this. There was one dot. And everybody said it. There was one dot by her eye. After this, there's two. That may be the circle, her circle, like Kelnacca has in his house. That could be her circle is the dot on her eye.
Oh.
And she may be, like you just said, in hiding.
Interesting. Wow, Brian, you laid a lot on us. Thanks, buddy. And thanks for being a Patreon. Thanks for hanging.
He is right about Indara. did have one single black dot in the corner of her eye in the flashback. But then when we see her in the first episode in present time, when she faces down with May, she has 2 dots there. Now, that could be some cultural thing from whatever species she is, where they like, I don't know, maybe it was a mole. She grew another mole, the power of one.
I actually thought that was just Carrie Ann Moss's look. I didn't even think twice about it being a tattoo or a mark or something. I thought it was a mole.
The power of one mole, the power of 2 mole. And if she lived, we would have seen the power of many moles all over her face. That would have been really wild. But no, not quite the case. Oh, going back to what we were saying about Soul, though, and what that caller was talking about, there is a moment in this episode where Vernestra Rowe fears the emotional connection Soul has to the twins.
Yep.
And I think there's some level of foreshadowing going on there to a degree. Soul wants to find May and bring her in. Vernestra Rowe fears the emotional connection. Soul reveals May's objective is not solely her own. So he believes the dark side, there's a dark lord behind all of this pulling the strings. Rowe believes May answers to a master as well, and is part of a bigger plan, a shift of the scales, she says. She's talking about the balance of the force.
Sure, yeah. Some sort of shift. Something to tip the scales.
Yeah.
Hey, while we're talking about Vernestra, there's 2 times during that scene that she says, when it's brought up that maybe May won't come peacefully, she says, I'm not expecting it to come to that. A minute later, I think it might be Yord might say it. If she resists arrest and Holden neutralizes her, it won't come to that, says Vernestra. So why is she so certain that it's not going to come to that? To the point where she says it twice.
Maybe she was sensing the same thing Soul was when he said he felt something shift in May when he revealed to her that Osha was still alive. Her eyes softened. She became a different person. There is still good in her, is what Soul said. So maybe Vernestra's kind of feeling the same vibes.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that's what Soul says to Osha to convince her to join him to smoke her out and use her as bait, which they never really get the chance to do, at least in this episode. And Osha agrees to join Soul despite her fearing May because she's a murderer. So, but she trusts Soul and his connection to the Force, and Soul says he felt something shift in May. This could be something also that Vernestra was tapping into as well.
Let's get some more super chats in here. Here's Tanya. Tanya on vacation in Palm Springs, where it's hotter than Tatooine.
God.
It's hot everywhere, but I can only imagine Palm Springs in the desert. RFR number 1. Cheers, boyos, with 3 clinking beers. Thanks, Tanya, and enjoy your vacation. Rich Brendel. Yay, Ki is a little yay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ki. Aha. Ki-Adi-Mundi. I got it now. Yeah. Ki is a little negative, but what do you expect from a guy with 5 wives?
The power of 1, the power of 2, the power of 5. Go, Ki, go.
Nice, Rich.
Ki's head isn't the only thing that's shaped this way. Let's just say. Hey, come on.
It's got 5 wives. Says, I'm hoping Qimir isn't zipper face because it's way too obvious.
It could be a red herring sort of thing.
Smoke screen, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think that they're taking those big risks with these shows. I just don't think they're doing that, but I'll be impressed and I'll be very pleased. It's pretty odd. This is Dominique Garrett says it's pretty obvious they'll be awakened by the battle and attacked by the lightsabers and Duos Ex Machina, the battle. Oh, right. Yes. So they were awakened, just like Godzilla is awakened by whatever awakens Godzilla. In this case, Mothra. Star Wars Mothra was awakened by the lightsabers in the battle. So maybe there'll be more of those moths, Jim, and you'll get your big monster moment.
Well, that's what I want, damn it. I want something weird to happen in the forest. Is that too much to ask? See, the thing that bugged me the most, why is my guard up? The thing that bugged me the most in that first episode of the Ahsoka series is that she goes down into that tomb or whatever it is, and she starts turning the cylinders in that post or whatever. I mean, there was nothing, a lot of people were saying, oh, this is like Indiana Jones. Look at her in there. But there was nothing threatening within that chamber. I wanted to see darts fly out of the wall. I wanted to see spikes come up out of the floor. Something, anything. Then I will agree with you. It's like Indiana Jones. But instead, it was just Ahsoka in this room by herself, sort of like solving a Rubik's Cube. And to me, that's not as exciting as Indiana Jones going into the tomb to pull out the treasures. There's nothing even close to it. There was no exotic threat to Ahsoka at all in that situation. And so looking at this series, being fueled by that from the last Star Wars series, I was expecting to see something happen in the forest, but not really surprised when nothing happened in the forest, except for a big bug. They swatted a big bug. Okay. Good for them. I need stronger threats. I need more clever situations being constructed in environments like that forest. And I thought they were going there with the lumps on the trees, but that only served as a device to bring Ahsoka, or I keep calling her Ahsoka, Osha's connection back to the Force. That's all it was, just that sort of device. I wanted to see those bugs attack. I don't even care if they attack. They could just poop on the heroes, and I'd be excited by that. But no, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it just kind of ticked off Mom Mothma.
Yeah, I guess that was the nest, and the Mothra was
Did you get what I said? I said Mom Mothma.
Mom Mothra. Yeah, I got it. Mom
Okay.
Moth.
Jonathan Tilly says.
Okay, it's too much happening right now. I'm thinking Godzilla. You're thinking Andor. This is crazy.
Tilly says when they entered the forest and Saul made the comment about the forest, I thought of Drengir, a plant creature that distorts force from High Republic novels. Okay.
All right. The Drengir are basically dark side plants that are semi-sentient, and they attack Jedi. Okay? Listen, I didn't make this stuff up. All right? But that would have been great if you had some Drengir in that forest. That would have been exciting stuff. But instead, we just got big lumps on trees that were bugs, and the big, what'd you say, Mon Mothma? Bug, the Mon Moth. We'll just call her Mon Moth. That's the name of that.
Mom Mothma. She was the mom of all the larvae. Pepper Spray Johnny says,
I remember him from last week.
This dude, yeah.
I gave him the name.
Did you really? Oh, right now. You're right. Yeah.
Pepper Spray Johnny.
He says, even though there are cutaway shots between Osha and May that imply these events are happening at the same time, I'm still not convinced that they are separate in body. Perhaps Osha is projecting May. That is a theory that I'm hearing about, that this is some sort of elaborate force projection a la Luke in The Last Jedi. But man, that's a lot of power. That is, I mean, it kills Luke Skywalker, and he's the son of the chosen one.
Yeah. So casual usage of it might be restrictive. However, Luke was tapping purely into the dark side of the Force to create that force projection. Maybe it's a lot easier on you physically if you do it by tapping into the dark side. So two sides of the coin, maybe with two different results and two different ways it taxes your system as a Force user.
Mariana says, J&J, I believe your prediction of KK, Kathleen Kennedy, using Filoni as a fall guy is coming true. The fan base is going off on him like crazy.
Wait, when did we ever say that Kathleen Kennedy is placing Filoni in the position? Did we say that? I mean, maybe we did.
We did say
don't recall.
we threw
did.
it out as a possibility. Yeah,
We did.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. Well, eat it up, internet. There it is.
The fan base is going off on him like crazy. You guys rock and have more class than the entire Lucasfilm story group combined. We are very classy. We are very classy.
We have more class and more knowledge too. Don't forget that. We know Star Wars.
And finally, Scott St. Louis, Boston area Acolyte After Show watch party like James Bond and podcast will return. Oh, we can't wait. We can't wait. All right. Well,
Podcast. He brings up something interesting. I made a note here because you confused Coral with Quarrel from Dr. No.
I sure did.
All right. That didn't get by me. I was great. I thought that was hilarious. And I just wonder if next week there'll be a character that makes us think of Pussfeller. We'll have to just stay tuned to find out. That's for you Dr. No fans out there.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you all very much for bringing it this week. Acolyte After Show. Big thanks to our call screener and official program observer, Tyler Page. Tyler, you were busy tonight. Lots of calls. We didn't get through all of them. Jam-packed switchboard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anything
show
that
observing?
you were show observing. I like that. Yeah. Any points that we should have made? Anything that we left out?
Did you guys talk about when they first arrive on Kofar and they're interviewing the local?
Oh yeah, right.
I just thought
I remember that.
it was.
I didn't
it was
bring it
really
up because
weird.
if you have nothing nice to say,
okay. It was a weird edit to me that she interviews him and they're like, "Yeah, he ran off in the forest," and then it cuts to Saul saying, like right after that, Saul's like, Kelnacca's in that forest. And I'm like, well, yeah, she just said that. Like, it just didn't make sense to me that you needed to include that both scenes. I don't know.
What didn't make sense to me was that Jecki, who's this straight as an arrow by the book Jedi Padawan, is like a big hairy thing, like it's like big and hairy. It's a Wookiee. Come on, we're in the Star Wars universe. Everybody knows what a Wookiee is. Ugh, yeah. I hate that modern stupid humor that they put in these shows sometimes. Drives me crazy. Stupid.
Yeah, and all the callers are wondering who's in that Sith mask, as you guys can tell. So
yeah, who do you think it is, Tyler? Who do you think it is?
I don't think it's Qimir. I think that's a misdirection.
Really?
But
okay.
Yeah.
Misdirection.
Well, if he was a Sith Lord, I don't think he would have ran into that trap. But maybe he did it on purpose. Who knows?
That's a good point.
Appears. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously looking like kind of a clumsy doofus, but the Sith are all about being manipulative and presenting an appearance that's not really truly who they are. I mean, look at Palpatine in the prequels. Yeah. He was acting like some run-of-the-mill politician. And then the next thing you know, you realize that he's fueled by the dark side. And miles different from the public persona he had been emanating up until the part he actually gets fried by his own Sith lightning. He seems like just a regular old guy politician. So things aren't always what they appear. Yeah.
If it's Qimir, I'll be disappointed. I'll just say that.
Yeah, because it's so obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm with you there.
I wasn't thinking it was obvious until this episode, but now I think so. All right, Tyler, appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for being here as always.
Abondanza.
What?
He said Abondanza?
Abondanza. Yeah.
That's
I'll keep.
Thank you, Mama Celeste.
All right. Thanks, Ty. All right, Jimmy Mac, final thoughts. Acolyte, episode 4, Day.
Day. What does the title Day even mean? I mean, that's kind of a lame title for any episode. Day. I mean, what does that even mean? And I start thinking about Master Soul. Soul means sun. Maybe it's a sunny day. I don't know. I mean, that's the best I can do. Give me a title I can analyze properly, damn it. I did like the opening of the episode with Kelnacca walking around Kofar. He looked cool just wearing the brown robe with the hood up. I thought that was a good look. I enjoyed seeing him like that. I also liked the Padawan training session as the Padawans are going through lightsaber training using wooden bokens, and Jackie Lan is there, and you got that ginger-haired Jedi. He actually does have a name. They actually gave that character a name, but he looked cool. I want to see more of him. I really like the ginger Jedi. Something we didn't bring up in our conversations is one of the Jedi Masters believes May could have come from a splinter order. A splinter order. Would that be a group of Force users who have broken off from the Jedi and formed their own thing? Is that what a splinter order is? Have we ever seen splinter orders before in Star Wars? Are the Knights of Ren a splinter order? I'm not really sure what that means. Are the witches a splinter order? Who knows? But I thought that was interesting that there's knowledge of other orders of Force users throughout the galaxy. And when they say splinter, that leads me to believe that they splintered off from the main piece. They're a rogue sect of Jedi who are, they created their own sort of Force order. I hope that gets looked into a little bit more. When Osha was leaving the temple, I just noted that there was that little furry alien from Solo in the background with the ear. They like had two ears and whatever. I just thought it was cool to see that little alien again. When Soul convinces Osha to join them on the mission to Kofar, Osha says, "I'm not wearing a civilian robe." And then in the next shot, she's wearing a civilian robe. Now, they played that up for laughs. And it would have been funny if the audience actually had a clue as to what a civilian robe is. There's no payoff. We've never seen or heard talk of civilian robes. And then she's wearing one. Is that supposed to be funny? Fail.
I don't even think that's a robe. It was more like a jumpsuit. There was no robe.
Yeah, it was.
To it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was even. It was like a
flight
snowsuit. Yeah. Yord. He reveals the Order station Kelnacca on Kofar, but nobody heard from him in a year. A lot of people online discussing this episode have been saying that Kelnacca had self-exiled and moved away from the Jedi Order. And I'm like, God, did you even see the episode? I just am only bringing it up because I saw a lot of people saying that online. And speaking of Yord, I don't know if it's Disney or Lucasfilm or who's trying to do this, but they're trying to establish some sort of like fandom connection between the audience and Yord. And they've created this thing called the Yord Horde. Okay? That stuff needs to be earned by the fan base. You can't manufacture it, Lucasfilm! Lord Horde. Lame. Yord Horde. Lame. All right, I'm just saying. And that has nothing to do with the episode. It has everything to do with the marketing of this show, which I think has been abysmal. Yord says most Padawans want to learn Shriwook. There, I finally said it right. Shriwook, the language of the Wookiees. Most Padawans of the Jedi Order want to learn how to speak the Wookiee language. I thought that was a very interesting thing to hear. And immediately made me think back to the cantina scene from A New Hope when Obi-Wan meets Chewie in the cantina. And it's brief, but you clearly can tell he's holding a conversation with Chewbacca. And I thought, well, maybe Obi-Wan's one of those Padawans who wanted to learn Shriwook while he was in the Order, like most Padawans. But Yord is above all of that. He learned the language of the Beaver Otters, which makes him better. I guess.
I
don't know,
Spanish.
but I just thought that was. Yeah, I know. Right, me too. Me too. In high school and college. A couple other little things. Just as far as special effects goes, when the Jedi ship was landing on Kofar, it gave me serious vibes of the old Flash Gordon serials. It makes me think, wow, I think they might have used practical models for that shot, as opposed to your typical CGI stuff. I thought that was pretty cool, just because it really had that old school vibe about it. I didn't feel like I was watching some computer-generated imagery. I felt like I was watching an actual physical thing land on the planet. It made me think, well, it must be a model. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Puff a pig, not in this episode.
All right, that'll do it for us this week. At least for the Acolyte After Show. Don't forget, there will be a new episode of the Rebel Force Radio Weekly Podcast. It'll drop this weekend. So make sure that you listen to that. If you haven't listened to last week's show, it's a great one. We've got FJ DeSanto for like an hour. It's awesome. And we're breaking down what he thinks of the Acolyte, but also some of the background, industry chatter. And so it's a great perspective, and it's a great listen. So check that out. We'll, of course, be back with more Acolyte After Show next week as we talk about episode 5, which some people in the chat are saying it is called Night. So this week the episode is day. Next week is night. Well, you all have a great night from us here at RFR. We'll see you next time. Again, special thanks to Tyler Page, all of the callers, everybody in the live chat. We love you guys. Thanks so much. And we will see you next week. But in the meantime, for Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.